Rome, thousands of tourists like Isabel Lammers.
All right, and good morning. Welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. This is the video live stream edition. I'm Ken Lundberg, welcoming into the studio two individuals who are involved with the St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. Chris Hawk is here from Kickers. Hello, Chris. Good morning. And
Good
Neil
morning.
Harris. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Neil and I work together at Whirlpool.
Yeah,
How's it going?
it's going great. Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
We're here not to talk about Whirlpool. We're here to talk about Kickers. Chris called up on the hotline. Actually, this is the phone that you rang,
Yeah.
and so it starts flashing at me when we're on the air. But you wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of things today. Kickers, 72 years old.
That's right. We've been around since 1953,
Wow, that's awesome.
and we still have two original members left, which
You're
is
kidding.
just really unique.
Because it started, we'll go through this on the radio program, but it started as honestly just a club for people who wanted to play.
Really, just a couple guys got together during their lunch hour, and they started kicking the ball around. There were some German immigrants, and when I say ball, it wasn't really even a ball. The first thing they had was just rags tied together.
You're
And
kidding.
No, and I think one of the third or fourth members that ended up coming into the club, they took him because he had a real soccer ball from Germany. So they upgraded soon. So that's how it all developed. And here we are today celebrating 72 years. And I called you up so that we could see about getting everybody out to Mayfest on May 17th. We haven't had a spring dance since before COVID. And
Yeah.
so we want to try it. I know we had a lot of people that would come up from South Bend, Niles, the Hungarian community too. And we're going to do it again. We hope to see everybody out there. If you like the good German food, we'll break it out. It's just kind of like an Oktoberfest in May.
Excellent. All right. But we will talk fully about all of that, and hopefully you'll share some stories about what's been happening through the history. Neil Harris is here as well. What's your role with Kickers, Neil?
I'm currently the president, served in some capacity with the club for quite a while, but currently serving as the president of the club.
What is your role as president?
Oh boy, my role. We wear many hats as members and administrators of the club, but currently it's to help provide direction to the club, make sure that whatever we're doing in whatever direction we're going, it kind of adheres to the club's founding principles, and it's basically to help promote soccer in the Southwest Michigan community. So
Love that. Okay.
to help steer the ship. That's all.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to ask you about your backgrounds, talk a little bit about your involvement with Kickers, why you got involved, how long you've been there, what some of the fun stories that you have to share. We'll talk about the event that's upcoming. You also have Oktoberfest already planned for October.
Absolutely.
Was it the 25th, October 25th? Something like that. Anyway, we'll look at the website and confirm. But we're talking with Neil Harris and Chris Hogg. They're from the St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. They are they're just off of M139 in Arden between St. Joseph and Berrien Springs. You've been there, you know it. You've taken your kids there to play soccer. I do that. I watch them. Can we talk about the rules in the upper deck? I want the kids to stop running.
We'll have to get our field marshal
I will be
there.
I can be a patrolman. Just give me a reflective vest,
Yeah.
maybe some knee guards, some shin guards. I think
You look like you could handle that role well.
I don't know. It's 7:04. It's the WSJM Morning Show. We'll be back with news in just a moment.
At credit.
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
Good morning and welcome back to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm just giving instructions on how people can get coffee. Go get coffee. We have Dunkin' out there. We have Paul Newman's Own. It tastes like salad dressing, I think. Yeah. No, it'll be good stuff. 7:05. It's the WSJM Morning Show. We have a couple of guests in the studio, Chris Hogg and Neil Harris. They'll be back in a couple of minutes. We've got to get to some news and some weather. The forecast for today does look good. We talked about partly to mostly sunny skies today. Just a stray shower or two as possible early in the day. High around 65 degrees. We'll have some wind out of the northeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, clear and cold, a low of 35 this evening. That's going to make way for clear skies again tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday. So Friday, mostly sunny, a high around 67. Saturday for Parade Day, Blossom Time Parade, it's going to be mostly sunny, a high around 72 degrees. So perfect parade weather, because it'll be a little bit cooler by the lake. So you might want to have a shawl or a sweater or something like that. The low overnight Saturday into Sunday is going to be 42. Sunday, we're going to predict mostly sunny skies and a high around 76. Going to introduce a chance of rain on Monday, but otherwise it's going to be mostly sunny with a high around 80 degrees. So that is the forecast. We'll have more coming up from Carrie Peugeot from WSBT. She's our meteorologist during the morning show. That's coming up in a few minutes. See if there are any updates to our weekend. But hopefully, knock on wood, it's going to be a great weekend. Some of the news that we're following from the WSJM newsroom this morning: no injuries reported following a police standoff in Stevensville yesterday. The Lincoln Township Police Department says officers were called Wednesday evening to the 5700 block of George Street on a report of an assault. On arrival, the officers reportedly spoke with two 17-year-olds who told them they had been standing near their vehicle on the street when a man came out of his home and with a handgun and confronted them. The teens said he eventually pointed the pistol in their direction, prompting them to flee. Responding officers set up a perimeter around the house. They tried to make contact with the resident, but were not successful. They had to get a warrant. They got one, and the Berrien County Sheriff's Department Tactical Response Unit was brought in. They entered the home. They found a 69-year-old male suspect. They took him into custody without incident. He's currently lodged at the Berrien County Jail on charges. Other news, get ready because it's almost time for the annual Blossom Time Parade in St. Joseph and Benton Harbor. The big day is Saturday with the parade starting at 1 p.m. Let's talk about road closures. Road closures in St. Joe will start at 10 a.m. The St. Joe Department of Public Safety says traffic entering St. Joseph from the north will be detoured west onto Port Street and then south on Lake Boulevard. Traffic wishing to continue south on M63 will have to turn east onto Jones Street or continue south on Lake Boulevard for the I-94 business loop. Traffic coming into the south from St. Joseph will be diverted at westbound Jones and will follow the same route in reverse. The detours will stay in effect until the end of the parade, which is expected to conclude around 3:30 in the afternoon. Parking will not be allowed along several streets near the parade route on Saturday morning. Though that includes these streets: State, Market, Pearl, Price, Jones, Court, Church, and Hoyt Streets. Now, the public is also advised that the Bicentennial Bridge will be closed from about 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Police add that you can set out your blanket and chair, no problem, along the parade route, but you can't do it until after 6 a.m. on the day of the parade. No early blankets. That's what they say. So get ready for the parade. It's coming up Saturday. And again, the start time for the parade, 1 p.m. Other news that we're following: leaders in Benton Township are going to be taking a look at the township's zoning ordinance at this week's regular meeting of the Benton Township Board of Trustees. Building official Loyal Bennett said the Planning Commission is recommending a study of the ordinance that was approved back in 1999.
This is to give us a technical review and the insight to update it to current standards.
Bennett said the current rules are out of date and definitely need a refresh.
We've had a couple of ZBA actions for sign height and hotel height. So we're going to try and roll all of these changes into a new zoning ordinance that is for 2025.
The zoning ordinance governs what kind of developments are allowed in different areas of the township. It also covers, as mentioned, things like signs that are permitted. A recent example of a variance that was granted was for the sign at the Chick-fil-A. It currently stands at 60 feet high. The ordinance limits signs in the area to 40 feet. So they have to apply through the city, pay extra fees, etc. So they're going to update their zoning ordinance. Township trustees Tuesday authorized the Planning Commission to seek a quote to determine what the cost is going to be for that update. And legislation from Congressman Bill Huizenga seeks to get more young people playing sports. Huizenga tells us the Youth Sports Facilities Act amends Title II of the Public Works and Economic Development Act to add youth sports facilities to the list of eligible uses of economic development assistance grants. More money. He says this will help more youth sports facilities get built around the country and not just around school sports facilities.
We know that we have really an epidemic of obesity here in the United States, right? And one of the problems that we have is youth sports has been on the decline in many ways. Not all the clubs, we see all the clubs and the travel teams and all that kind of stuff, but kids aren't necessarily just going and playing pickup games.
Huizenga says for too long, an area code has determined whether students could have access to facilities or the resources needed to play. He says the new act will open doors for communities across Michigan and around the country to create new opportunities for children to develop these critical skills, enhance local tourism, and foster small business growth. The legislation, which Huizenga introduced with Texas Democrat Mark Vesey, has the support of groups including the Sports and Fitness Industry Association, the YMCA, the National Federation of High Schools, the American College of Sports Medicine, U.S. Soccer, the NHL, the Pop Warner Little Scholars, and the Michigan Sports Commission. What do you think about that, Chris? Is that a good piece of legislation?
You really don't see too many vacant lots where kids are playing anymore. And I
No.
think that if that's what it takes to get a little traction in that regard,
Yeah.
probably so.
Yeah, allow more entities to be eligible for that federal money. Why not? Right? Okay. You got the coffee? Is that all right? The machine work okay out there?
If I could operate it, it'd be better.
You need help?
No,
You're
I
good.
know a good IT guy.
Very good. All right. We're talking with Chris Hogg and Neil Harris. They're from Kickers, the St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. You know it. If you don't, we'll tell you all about it. That's coming up in just a moment here. Right now, we do have some local sports to talk about. WSJM's Dave Wolf is out. Brett Witkowski is filling in. Here's the sports report.
It's your morning sports with Brett Witkowski, filled in for Dave.
Okay. We're back on the video live stream. Was the machine okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Good. Sorry about that. I should have offered right when you came in. I slipped my mind because I was like, where do I know him? So Neil and I used to work together, and I bet no one's ever called you Neil Patrick Harris.
Not once. Not growing up in the Doogie Howser era. I mean, come on.
What's your middle name? Can I ask?
Charles.
Charles.
Yeah.
Neil Charles Harris.
Sure is.
Okay, very good. Neil Patrick Harris, for those who don't know, is a TV star and a magician, I think.
Yeah.
He's a very accomplished magician.
Yep.
How you gentlemen doing this morning?
Really well, thanks.
Chris, I've seen you around Kickers. My sons have played soccer there.
Absolutely.
I think just about everyone's children has played soccer there. It's a fantastic facility. I love it.
It's unique. It's probably the last one of what it is in Michigan.
What do you mean?
As far as being a social club, and
Okay.
it isn't really a booster club for just kids sports. I mean, we definitely have that, but we also have adult soccer. Right now we have over 30 team that's playing in the Kalamazoo
Wow.
League. They won the other night against Kalamazoo United 5-3. Every other Tuesday, the Kalamazoo team will come down. We'll host them, and we'll have the club room open. And it was a packed house. And when I grew up, I started playing out the Kickers in 1980, and it was common that you hosted the teams afterwards. You know, you just
For
didn't-
social event.
Mhm.
yeah, you just didn't leave with a grudge. And you know, I mean, you got over it. It may have been a rough 90 minutes, but everybody sat down afterwards, and you had some food and you had some drinks. And we still try to do that. Since I've been sport director, I've really tried to focus on making sure that we had that opportunity for all events. And we have a premier team that plays mainly on Thursdays. That's our club night. So we have something for the older Germans to do. We still have, like I said, some of our original members. We have people, their 80s, 90s very commonly come out, and they love to watch the game and maybe have a beer afterwards. And we have a second team too that plays mainly on Sundays. We host the Pathfinders out in Niles. They like to use our field because it truly is one of the best soccer pitches in the area. We have it cut where it's supposed to be.
It doesn't grow that fast.
I refereed a game yesterday, and it was really hard on the legs. You know, the grass was up over 3 inches, and you really have to have
How many
nice
fields? Yeah, how many fields do you have out there? You've got the indoor field, but then you also have the outdoor fields that surround.
We have 4.
Okay.
And we've been hosting SWM Select, so it's nice to have the younger kids out, and the parents seem to really enjoy it. It's a great venue. It's more than just grinding out another game. They can go in, have concessions. My wife's unbelievable host. I mean, she is kind of like they said about Reggie Jackson, the straw that stirs that drink out there when it comes to concessions and taking care of everybody's needs. So, yeah, I don't think I'd still be in this capacity. I tried it with a few other people I dated before I was married. They weren't too interested in that.
You had
lifestyle.
tryouts, did you?
Yeah, I failed those tryouts, I guess.
All right. Well, we're going to come back and be on the video live stream and on the radio here in just a moment. We're talking with Chris Hawk and Neil Harris from St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. We'll get their backgrounds and a little bit more background on kickers. If you're interested in some history, we'll talk about that and their upcoming events. You've got the Mayfest.
Correct. We'll have Summerfest the first Saturday in August, and then we'll have Oktoberfest on October 25th.
Nice. We'll be right back and talk more about that here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Afternoon with a high of 65. Clear and cold tonight. Will drop down around 38 to 40. And then for tomorrow, mostly sunny. High temperatures up around 67. We'll actually be in the low to middle 70s both days this weekend. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
47 degrees out in Benton Harbor, 48 in St. Joe, 46 in South Haven. We've already seen some of the clouds start to disappear. We do have some winds out there, and the temperature, let's see, in New Buffalo right now it's 49. Buchanan, it's 49 degrees. Yeah, the feels like is about 9 degrees off of what you're seeing on the thermometer. So you might need a sweater to start the day. This morning, we're talking with Chris Hawk and Neil Harris. They are with St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. And for those who don't know them, we'll introduce them right now. We'll ask them to introduce themselves and give their background. Talk about, first, let's start with Chris. You talked about it just briefly on the video live stream. But for those who don't know you, what's your role at Kickers? And give us a little bit of your background.
I'm a sport director at St. Joe Kickers. I played out there since about 1980. Took a few years off. I played at Western, and so you weren't able to play them both at that time. I don't think you still can. I don't know with NIL and everything. Maybe you can. And when I came back, I kind of got out of it for a while. We were raising kids, had 4 boys, and after they started getting back involved, it just didn't have the infrastructure. And so my wife and I started taking on more and more as the membership got older, and then we ended up taking on too much. So it was really nice to be back involved. We've kept our membership. I've been out there 45 years. I know Neil's been out there a long time too, but we're still kids compared to the ones that have been members for 72 years. So.
That's amazing. I love the story that you were sharing on the video live stream about the first soccer ball that the Kickers members were playing with was just a bunch of rags tied together.
That was pretty much the story for the people who came over after the war. It was founded by members who had been displaced after World War II, and America took them in, and they were grateful. And instead of ruminating about all the bad things that happened, during the 1940s, they came over and sucked it up and really made something that the community could be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll dive into that Kickers history here in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's let Neil introduce himself. Neil Harris, tell us a little bit about your involvement with Kickers.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I'm the current president. I've served in several capacities through the years. And I was on just started as a coach, basically coaching some of the teams, running some things. I was asked to be vice president along the way, and now I'm serving as the president. I've got an interesting soccer story or history in that I didn't really play it a lot growing up.
Yeah.
But in 1993, Coloma Community Schools decided to start a soccer team, and I was part of that founding group. And so as a 16-year-old, I started playing for the first time. And obviously we weren't very good, but we did our best. We had a great coach. We had a great founding group of people. And then by the time I graduated as a senior, I had started to fall in love with the sport.
Yeah.
So went away to college, came back, and then started playing on a men's adult team and playing in the Blossomland, or at least what the beginning of the Blossomland Soccer League was. And then I found myself at Kickers very often.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, I should get involved, right? Like, I really like being here. And it's not as much the sport as it is what comes after. You know, we like to call that Gemütlichkeit. That's making merry together.
Say that again.
Gemütlichkeit.
Okay.
So it's literal translation. I don't know. Chris's German is better than mine, but it's making merry together and having fun. And that really drew me in, that we could play together for 90 minutes and have such a great outing. But then it's everything that comes after, and the relationships that are made sitting at the table together and sharing a drink and sharing some stories. So
yeah, I mean, because you think about the kids, and we just heard a news story about area congressman trying to help get more community clubs funding so that they can help start up sports, because you see a lot of kids, they have a lot of distractions today. They have a lot of different things. It used to be, you know, where you went to school, you went home, maybe you had an after school job, you did some sports. Nowadays, you've got nothing but smart devices and electronics showering you everywhere, and that can just eat up your time like a zombie. So what are you seeing? How's the involvement been evolving over the last few years?
So honestly, it started to tail off for a bit. But what we found is, with our involvement, the current administration, it seems like it's coming back. Our membership numbers are up.
Yeah.
And I think more importantly, some of our membership is getting younger, right? So we appreciate and applaud all of our elders for sure. But then there's a bit of a gap there.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see younger members come in. So my son is a big part of it. Chris's sons are a big part of the group, and they bring their friends. So we have a lot of people in their mid-20s and early 30s that are starting to actively participate in the club, become members, and then bring their families. That's the most exciting part, is we're starting to see lots of strollers, lots of families, so husbands, wives, people who come together as a group and they celebrate doing this sport or hanging out as a family. So it's not just one person getting to come out and getting away from the family. It's the family unit coming and enjoying everything together. And that, I think that's what excites me the most, is a club for everybody.
Yeah. It's a great place to be, and the welcoming atmosphere that you've created, Neil and Chris. I mean, I'll share a story. So I have 3 boys. All of them have been involved in soccer. All of them have played at Kickers. Love that. You come on a Friday night, you watch the game. So one Friday night, I brought my mother. She has dementia and doesn't get around very well, and had recently fallen, and so she needed help getting around. And I think there was snow on the ground, ice on the ground. We couldn't make it to the main entrance. And one of your people, it might have been your wife, I'm not sure, but let us in the back door, walked us through the kitchen, walked us out into the area just so that it'd be safe for her. So thank you.
That would be my wife.
Yeah,
That
she was
sounds
great.
like something she'd do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely good. And so, I mean, it's a welcoming environment. The other thing I have to ask you about, Chris, the goats. Tell us all about the goats, because they are the cutest darn things.
Well, we don't have the goats anymore.
No. What happened to the goats?
We decided we wanted to get in our hot tub. They like to lay on top. So I teach in Dowagiac. I appreciate them letting me get out for a little bit today to be part of this. And then I need to get back over there. But I teach an alternative ed. I had a student that needed to get out of their house, and they had the 2 goats. And so I took them in, and they like to come over to the Kickers. I live nearby. I live in Arden. And so they became kind of the pets of the club for a little bit.
I think they adopted themselves as mascots.
Yeah. They were fantastic. Did you ever have them for lawn care?
They like to eat some things, but not the things that we wanted.
Oh, they were eating the
flowers
other stuff.
and
Tell me they have a good home now. Even lie to me if you have to.
No, they really do.
Okay.
We found a couple that took them in, had a little hobby farm, so they did not end up in a barbecue.
Even though a Euro would be fine, they were too cute for that. Do you know what kind of goats they were? Because they were tiny.
Pygmy goats.
Oh, they were pygmy goats. Okay.
We've had goats before, and They used to say, they had a saying, more fun than a goat. And that is true. Goats are a lot of fun, but they're like little kids. You got to give them attention.
We're talking with Chris Hawk and Neil Harris. They're from St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. And maybe for those who aren't aware, who wants to start off with the history of kickers? I know you've told the story. I imagine you've told this story before, and we started to get into it here. But how did kickers establish?
So Chris is our resident historian. He's constantly posting Facebook posts about our history, sharing a ton of old pictures from the original soccer teams. So I think he's the best person to talk about a history of the club.
So Chris, give us an overview. How did it start? What is it? What does it become?
It started out as just kind of a recreational activity for people on their lunch break in St. Joe. They started kicking the rag ball around at Kiwanis Park on lunch breaks, and then that eventually developed into forming a team. They rented Dickinson Stadium when that was first built in the early 1950s, and first year they hosted some teams from Chicago, and then they eventually got involved in that league. They played in Chicago until probably the late 1960s.
Oh, wow.
And they moved the home field over to the old House of David baseball park. They played right there. I have some of the old pictures where you can see the Drury signs on the baseball fence in the background. And they built their own soccer field at the House of David in the mid-60s, and then they ended up getting some land in Arden over by the Sportsman's Club, and they built those fields. I think it was an old pear orchard, if I remember right. I know.
Okay.
And 71 was the dedication, and they've
1971.
They've had that building ever since. We built on. We put the activity hall up in 77, and I think in about 2010 was when the field house was built. So we expanded, and it's really a success story. It's taken 72 years, but
72 years. So the first building, the first structure on that property out at Arden, that it was the social hall.
Yes, the one that looks like the funeral home.
Why does it look like a funeral home?
Because you don't have to paint it. The Germans were smart. They knew that if they were going to, and they built it all themselves.
Oh, did they?
So this was not farmed out. So we have some very interesting
architecture choices.
Yes,
design
it's
choices.
Very Bavarian.
Yeah, maintenance is an adventure sometimes. So.
Any maintenance stories you want to share? Think about it.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Chris. You sound like you have one.
No, I better not say anything.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll come back to that in a couple of moments. We're talking with Chris Hawk and Neil Harris. They're from St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. Before we go into break, you've got Mayfest coming up. Details on that. What's happening?
So I'll let Chris share, but Mayfest is a spring dance, right? It's a renewal. It's like Oktoberfest, but not in October. It's a reason to get together and hang out with your friends and dance and enjoy each other's company. So we're resurrecting the spring dance, Mayfest. It's the first time it's happened since pre-COVID. And Chris, the details on it are...
We will open the doors at 6, and then we have the popular Will Smaka band, very family-oriented. They have a good following, and they'll play from 7 to 11. We'll have the German food, and we'll have we really do have a lot of good choices with German beverages. It's amazing. And Neil's our bar manager, and it isn't just Pabst on tap.
I can't imagine.
You can get practically anything out there.
Give us some detail.
So many options, right? We have a smattering of German beers. So just about every German beer you could think of, we have many in bottles and several on tap. Yeah. And then beyond that, to try to keep it PG and friendly to the family, we are currently the exclusive distributor of a craft soda called Three Dachshunds. We established a relationship with the owner of the company and the brewery that makes that, and we hand truck it in from Wisconsin, bring it over here to Michigan, and that's something that the younger crowd can enjoy. But it's craft and it's soda made with cane sugar, so no preservatives or additives.
Yeah.
It's real good stuff. And it's
3 dachshunds.
3 dachshunds. You
What's
can look
it?
it
What?
up.
So what's the flavor? What's it taste like?
So we have many flavors. Their most famous is root beer.
Okay.
And then the second is cream soda. We have an orange cream soda, a blue raspberry, a grape, and a wild cherry.
Wow.
So if you're into to sodas or decent tasting pop, that's definitely the way to go.
Is that on draft or in bottles?
It's in bottles currently, but
Okay.
we will be offering it on the root beer on draft in the near future. So
Nice. Okay. All right. You sold me on that. I'm going to ask you about your favorite beers in just a couple of minutes, but we're talking with Chris Hawk and Neil Harris, the St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. They've got Mayfest coming up on May 17th, and we'll give you more detail in just a moment and some more history and some more financial news from our friends at Bloomberg. They're coming up in just a moment. Also, our ABC World and National News is coming up and more. It's on the WSJM Morning Show.
Join Corewell Health.
Okay. We're back on the video live stream. How are we doing? Are we doing all right?
I think so.
Okay, good.
That's for you to decide.
yeah, you're the professional. You tell us.
I'm most happy that the goats are still alive and they went to a hobby farm.
They did. They're in good shape, I'm sure.
Yeah. Good. I think you should get more goats.
I don't think so.
Were they causing all kinds of problems?
At home, yes.
Oh, okay. Your
They're-
wife got mad at the goats. This is the truth.
Well, it really was something else.
They lacked a dedicated herder, and so I think maybe the angst was more towards the fact that they were free range goats
Okay.
and they could do what they wanted. So
That is true. I do have good neighbors. They never minded. So
At least that they told you.
right, that is true.
I've noticed that you've had a couple more neighbors coming up. Some development around there. Is that going to continue?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think that they pretty much maxed out what they'll allow out there in Royalton Township.
yeah,
Okay.
and all of those parcels were sold with reasonable acreage. So the few homes that were placed in front, they own 5-ish acres each.
Okay.
And then we, as a club, purchased the remaining land there in front. So,
Okay.
long-term planning, we're thinking about adding some additional fields for maybe practice fields versus game fields. We don't know what that looks like yet, but we did make the strategic move to purchase the land so
Nice.
that we can kind of stay landlocked and keep the club the way it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense because it's a great facility out there, and I love that you've got the road and it's all set back from the highway, so no errant soccer balls are going off into a busy traffic
Absolutely.
situation.
Yeah, yeah.
What? How many members do you have?
300 right on the dot.
Really?
Mhm.
And that's all adult. So with the kids, if you're under 18, you're a member, and then you have to take care of your own membership after you become an adult.
What are the membership? How much does it cost to get a membership if you're an adult?
Right now, it's $800.
Okay, and that sets you up for the year.
Yeah, so that's a joining
Well,
fee.
that's the
right?
joining fee. It's
So-
it's just $50 annual dues, which
Oh, okay.
is practically nothing if you participate in everything that we have going on out there.
Yeah, so it's more than soccer, right? So there's an $800 joining fee. It's an initiation fee that helps us, keep the lights on and repave the parking lot,
Yep.
which is going to have to happen. So if we've got any guys out there that do asphalt for a living and want to cut us a break,
Yeah,
give us a shout. We're going to need some love there.
yeah.
But that's a joining fee. And then, like Chris said, it's $50 a year. So that's nothing. For that, you get to play soccer on members night. You get to join us on members night. You also get discounts on various things, including club rental. So if you're going to use the facility for any type of event, you get a half off discount. And then your whole family is a member. So as a member, you and your family are members. So
Okay.
it's like Chris said, in his example, right? He has 4 children. They are all members. And then as they turn 18, they do not have to pay an initiation fee.
Okay.
They simply have to raise their hand and say, I still want to be a member. And then they just start paying the $50 dues. And so if you're a family, it makes sense for you to start the lineage and then just keep on passing it down to the rest of your family.
Nice. Okay, so $800 joining fee and then a $50 fee after that.
Mhm.
And for that joining fee, like you said, you get all the different discounts for everything else. Do you ever rent out the soccer field to like private
Absolutely.
parties?
Yeah,
Sure.
it's booked
Really?
constantly. Yeah.
It's a great time for grad parties, birthday parties. Sometimes people have family events. We've rented it out on Thanksgiving or maybe day after Christmas.
How fun is that?
Mhm.
It is a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
they'll bring the whole family in. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s playing out there.
Yep.
That's
And
awesome.
we have lots of options too. So we've got the soccer facility, which right next to it, there's a small gathering area. So you can rent that. We also have a bar room. And so you could rent the facility and the bar room.
Okay.
And then we also have a dance hall. So you have 3 separate options depending
Wow.
on how big of an event you're planning on having.
Where's the dance hall?
So as you drive in, it's kind of actually the thing you see first.
Okay.
That's the hall. And then as you walk around to the left, you'll enter into the facility, the soccer facility itself. So
Okay.
it's all contained in that main building.
That's fun. Any secrets in there?
Well, when we had the
Well-
dedication dance, we had someone pass away at it.
Oh,
so
no.
That was the very, very first event.
What year was that?
1971.
That was
So,
the dedication.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we believe to some
But-
extent that there might still be remnants of them there.
Some
They-
people say I've been there at all hours. I've never felt
Mm-hmm.
it, but maybe spirits didn't feel like talking to me.
You're too nice,
I
Chris.
spent the night there once too, and I didn't have any.
You spent the night there once.
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Well, I was helping a friend who got married. And so if you didn't know, I'm also a DJ on the side.
Okay.
And so I was bartending that night. I was DJing for their wedding. And I live in Kalamazoo. And so it made
Oh,
no
yeah.
good sense for me to drive all the way back to Kalamazoo when I had to get up and help host Sunday morning soccer, which is something else we do. And so I think the wedding ended around 2. I needed to be back there by 7. And it just made sense to,
Yeah.
set up
Crash
an air
right there.
bed and crash there at the facility. And
But no sightings.
no, or if there were sightings, I was too far out to.
You pulled the
sense it,
DJ
so,
thing. I'm
yeah,
sleeping hard.
yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll be back in a moment. We're talking with Chris Hawk and Neil Harris. It's about St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. We'll be back in just a moment with more on the WSJM Morning Show.
Theme park in the Middle East. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
See, isn't this much more fun than work or going to school?
Yes.
Right? Chris?
Absolutely. But duty calls eventually.
Yeah. What do you teach when you're there at
I teach an
Dowagiac?
alternative ed. So I have degrees in history and English, and I also have a waiver from the state for foreign language,
Okay.
because it's hard to find a teacher nowadays.
Yeah.
So
Much less one that can speak. I assume you're talking about German.
yes.
Okay.
And I teach some of the ancillary classes as well. It really is all encompassing. We are trying to get everyone that graduated, and a lot of the kids and just didn't have a success in the traditional high school. And
Sure.
so that's what I've been doing. I've been teaching in Dowagiac since 1988. My father was a teacher. He was the varsity basketball coach at St. Joe for years. He won a couple state championships. So I grew up in the gym, and I don't think I ever got taller than 5'10". So basketball wasn't really meant for me, and got involved in soccer back when St. Joe started. We were the first public school to have a varsity program,
No
and
kidding.
I got to play my senior year at the varsity level, and then just stuck with it ever since. Got into refereeing, got into coaching, and so there are a lot of coaches that have some sort of connection with the Kickers
Yeah.
over the years. It's amazing. So the Kickers have done a lot to try to support that in the community.
I'd say.
We were the only soccer facility or soccer club for probably 30 years, really.
Are there other soccer clubs now around this area?
So
Not-
there's different types, right? So if you think about the traditional, I think we're the only one that does it the way we do it. There are a lot of soccer entities. So SWM's Select Team, right? That's a youth organization. In Kalamazoo, you have Portage, you have Red Arrow, you have Kingdom. Like those are all youth clubs, right? Very few of those clubs focus on adult, and we're more in that venue of giving those kids a place to go when they aren't kids anymore, right?
Yeah.
They're adults, they're young adults, they're starting their journey in other places. So we want to continue to exist so that they have a place to come back to and play that sport they love. So we try to turn it into a life sport. It's something you can do after you graduate high school.
Okay. We're talking with Neil Harris and Chris Hawk. They're from Kickers, St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. And if you hear random phone tones in the background, that's because Neil's day job is working IT, and a lot of people are looking for him right now because their computers have crashed.
Absolutely.
No, they haven't. They're doing well. They're doing great. They just have to turn them on right. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment. We've got more coming up from ABC News. That's happening right now. We'll get a quick look at what's happening around our state from Michigan News Network. Sports as well from Brett Witkowski, who's filling in for Dave Wolf. It's right here on WSJM.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Sherry Preston.
All right. Let's see. Chris, keep me honest on the time here. What time do you have to get out?
Probably 7:45.
7:45. Okay, we're back on the video live stream. So 7:45. So 4 minutes from now, you need to get out.
Probably need to head toward Dowagiac.
It's just a quick 10-minute drive from here, I'm sure.
Depends on how you drive.
Well, that's great. So you've been teaching since 1988.
Yeah, I'm a piker compared to my old man. I think he had 46 years in with service time for World War II. So I just don't.
You're getting up there, though.
Oh, I'm
You're getting
old.
close. No, I mean not old. I mean as far.
I think I am. I feel like it.
You don't look it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you've never met Chris, Chris is always around the facility, and he's very welcoming to everybody. So thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it.
Well, that's part of it. The other part is if you don't do what you're expected to do.
Oh, there's a hard side.
Oh yeah.
Neil, truth.
Yeah, truth. I mean,
you got to have rules.
Yeah, act as you should, or else.
Talk about, if you wouldn't mind, before you leave, the German heritage. Why so strong there, and how is it reflected today?
Well, we still have, like I said, original members that came over from Germany. The club was almost 100% German. I think we didn't switch until the English language until 1968. So it was just happenstance. We did have a lot of people come over to Southwest Michigan from Germany earlier in the century, and then a lot came over in the 40s and 50s. It just wasn't, back home wasn't a great place to be. And especially if you were in a part of Germany where that ended up being governed by the Soviets, nobody wanted to stay.
Right.
So that there wasn't a very good option.
Yeah. Yeah. So came here, and one of the outlets, one of the recreational and ways to continue that community was through the sports.
Yeah. And they were able to get the families together, have Christmas parties. I know that they rented out various halls, the JAR Hall downtown that became the Curious Kids Museum, and they would rent out Legion halls and different places, Bent Harbor, and eventually they were able to find that property in Arden and call it home. And when I first went out there, I was amazed. I must have been, 14 or 15. It was just soccer heaven.
Have you ever thought about doing anything else other than what you do at Kickers?
I have, and I've done it, but it just kind of seems like this chicken comes home to roost at the Kickers. And then I ended up marrying a woman that got involved in it, and I think it's been a pretty good life. The 4 kids, I think, enjoyed their time out there, and it's a great lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you doing it. Anything else? I know you've got to get to school. Neil, can we keep you for a few minutes?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. But last words on Mayfest. Again, bringing it back after it was paused for COVID. Tell us about Mayfest. What is it like to be there?
It really would be like an Oktoberfest. Like Neil said, it's just at the front of the agricultural season instead of the end.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been out, seen Will Smacka, very, very enjoyable.
What did they play?
Music. They would play traditional German music, polka music, and
but they can and have changed it up a bit. So they're
Really?
very versed. And at the end of most of their events, especially if the younger crowd stick around, they will start covering 80s and 90s, and they'll
Okay.
do whatever you ask them to. So
Cool.
they're very versed in lots of stuff.
Very nice.
They're good people. We're happy to have them. And there's really not that many places you can get German food anymore. And some people still remember that from their childhood. Maybe they had a grandmother from Germany that cooked it. So if you want to come out and get the real thing, then that might, even if you don't dance.
May 17th is going to be Mayfest at St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. How do people get tickets?
Just show up at the door.
Okay.
It's
how much is it?
very inexpensive. If you're not a member, it's just $5.
No kidding.
And, and if you're
That's
a member,
really inexpensive.
you know, it's free. And I would think that if a guest came with a member, we'd probably just comp it. So we hope to see all of our members out who are able, and all of the friends that usually travel with the Will Smacka Band, and some of the people that even have never tried it. It's a fun event.
Okay. We're going to take a pause here for just a moment. I'm going to try to get a selfie with Chris, if that's all right. Can we do that? And then you've got to get to school.
I do.
Neil, you're going to be able to stick around?
Absolutely.
All right. Coffee's good?
Yes.
All right. I know the person who made it. All right. It's 7:46. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Be right back.
That's your morning sports. This is Brett Witkowski filling in for Dave Wolf.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hometown people from your hometown locally.
All right. Now that your monitor's out of the room.
Yeah.
No. Neil, how's it going?
I'm living the dream, man, every day. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing well. Having fun, telling stories here, just being on the radio and that kind of thing. But no, Chris told me that he was going to bring the president of the club in. He didn't tell me who it was going to be.
Right.
So it was a nice surprise to see you this morning.
Likewise.
So you got into soccer back when you were probably what, 16?
Yeah. Roughly.
You said?
Yep.
What do you like about the game?
So for me, it has to do with how it brings people together, and it's people from any ethnicity, any cultural background, right? The club is obviously founded mostly by German heritage, but we welcome everybody, right? And so we have tons of representation. So if you look at our member list now, or you look at the people that play on our men's over 30 team, or any of our men's, women's open teams, we probably represent 30 or 40 different countries of origin on our teams.
Wow.
And so the
40 different countries.
Roughly, I couldn't tell you offhand who they are, but it's every country, every continent. We have people playing, and then it's every skill type too, right? So we've got people who are just getting into the sport as adults, and we've got people who have played semi-professional, Division I college. We represent a lot of different types, and the cool part is, no matter your skill set, no matter how good, how bad, no matter where you come from, the best part is when it's all said and done, you can sit down, you can share some food, you can share a beverage, and we just have fun and connect. Right. And we've established some new traditions lately that help promote some of that, and we can talk about that later if you want. But
we'll talk about it here in just a moment.
Love that connection piece.
Yeah, and again, I keep talking about it as if it's a soccer complex. It is that, and a whole lot more.
Oh, absolutely,
and a whole lot more. I mean, and you have, again, you've got all the different spaces there. There are the eating spaces. You've got the kitchen in there, the dance hall, and a lot of different groups and organizations hold their events there that have absolutely nothing related to sports.
Absolutely.
So if people need to contact you with that, what's the best way to find out about rental options?
Yeah, so the website obviously is the best and fastest way, and the website has phone number, has email address. So whatever you're comfortable with, contact. We do also have a Facebook page, so you can reach out that way. But we're available in whatever fashion fits you. Honestly, we don't check the P.O. box very often, but
don't snail mail them something.
Right.
We'll be right back. It's the WSJM Morning Show.
40, and then for tomorrow, mostly sunny, High temperatures up around 67. We'll actually be in the low to middle 70s both days this weekend. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
It's 7:50. It's the WSJM Morning Show on Thursday, May 8th. I'm Ken Lundberg. Good morning. It's time for your Moody on the Market update. Your Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And we talk about a lot of things on the Moody on the Market update. We talk about, oh no, don't worry about that. I'll get that. I just knocked my headphone case on the floor. Thank you, Neil, for picking it up. On the Moody on the Market update, we talk about stories that we've posted or interviews that we're having here on the radio about business updates. We talk about interesting people you should know and life in Southwest Michigan and why we love it here. And talking about interesting people and life in Southwest Michigan and why we love it here, and a business update, frankly, I think Kickers meets all that qualification. So thank you, Neil Harris, for sticking around and talking with us. We had Chris Hawk in the studio as well. He is headed off to Dowagiac because he's got classes to teach this morning. So he made special time to come in this morning, and so we appreciate it. St. Joe Kickers Sports Club. You think about Southwest Michigan. If somebody were to ask you, hey, where does a guy play a pickup game of soccer? Where do they play soccer? Kickers immediately comes to mind. It's an institution in Southwest Michigan. So thanks for what you're doing out there. And Neil Harris is the president out there of the Kickers Club, Sport Club. What is the tradition? What are the new traditions that you're instituting at Kickers?
Yeah, so before we talk about the new, we have to kind of go back to what were the traditions, right? So Kickers was founded by soccer players who wanted to spend more time together.
Right.
And as they built the facility and they started to hang out more, they started playing cards on Tuesday nights, and then they might come back on a Wednesday night, and then they established the traditional Thursday night club night, and that still stands today. But over time, as maybe membership dwindled, we lost some of those traditions. We didn't gather as much. For a time, the only time people were there was Thursday night. And so my son and I, along the way, we decided we're going to start establishing new traditions. And one of the new ones that's really caught on is Sunday morning soccer.
Sunday morning soccer.
Sunday morning soccer.
Okay.
So it started as an afternoon pickup game at Maiden Lane. And then we polled the group of people who were playing and we said, hey, would you guys rather do this? And so we moved it to St. Joe Kickers, indoor in the winter and outdoor in the summer. But religiously now on Sunday morning, we play soccer. And the best part is after pickup soccer, my son, Steven, will cook for everyone. So he'll prepare breakfast and then we'll watch Premier League games. And so we play and then we eat and share stories and time and fun. And then we watch Premier League soccer together on the TV.
Love that.
And so that is open to the public. I mean, it's hard to get the word out, but if anybody's bored on a Sunday morning and they want to come and look at the 9:30 or the 11:30 Premier League fixture and want to have a beer and have some eggs and bacon, come on out. We really enjoy the community aspect, having people come watch that game with us. So we're really trying to do the whole Euro pub thing and get people out who enjoy the sport.
That's fantastic. What time does what time does the activity start on Sunday? Pickup game.
Pickup game starts at 9 and goes until 11:30 roughly, depending on what's going afterwards. And then we sit and watch always that 11:30 or 12 Premier League fixture. And that's based on the Premier League schedule, but we're always there at 9 playing. So come anytime. And then it always moves into the club room and we watch the games.
Talking about Premier League, who's your favorite?
Oh, so I am one of those guys that doesn't necessarily have a favorite.
You don't have favorites. I like this man.
I like a lot of them. I always root for the underdog, so I'm always happy to see some of those that don't always achieve.
Yeah.
My son is a big Chelsea fan, so I have to call that out for him. I've liked Man City lately. People say, "Oh, it's because they win." No, I like the way they play.
Yeah, they do well.
It's pretty cool. But I don't necessarily have a favorite. I'm always striving for that team that just got promoted. Can they maybe make a run? Yes or no?
Yeah. So you mentioned your son and that he makes breakfast. Is he a good cook?
Yeah, he's a great cook. So Steven is actually also on our administrative staff. He's our current secretary. But yeah, Steven can cook. He's
Good cook. All right. Good Sunday mornings, good times. Yeah, Kickers, St. Joe Kickers Sport Club. For more information, you can visit their website or go to their Facebook page. We'll wrap up this interview in just a moment. This one has been part of the Moody on the Market update, which is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today. They are your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. A couple of messages here, and then we'll be back to conclude the interview on the WSJM Morning Show. So I'm almost afraid to ask, Neil, what do you do for fun outside of work, outside of Kickers?
Oh, man. I mean, what else is there, right?
Right?
Family and soccer is life. I
Yeah.
guess. That's
Yeah,
it.
soccer is life.
I do have other hobbies. I like to tinker, fix things.
Okay.
I'm currently dating someone who lives in Fort Wayne on a 50-acre hobby farm.
Oh,
And
fun.
So she and I have a ton of things to keep us busy.
Wow.
Because if you're into farming and you know anything about them, there's always something to fix.
Yeah. What is it like with 50 acres? What's it like to take care of that? Is that just the two of you who do that?
Yeah. I mean, between us, we have 6 children.
Okay.
And the kids help. But,
Wow.
But the reality is, yeah, it's the two of us.
How do you get the children to help? I need to crack this code
Oh,
because I even look at my kids sideways about lawn, like yard work, and they're like out of the room.
You make it enjoyable. You make it so that it's task based, and then
Yeah.
you remind them that they're not paying rent, and if they'd like to start paying rent, we could work that out, and it's much easier to just provide a little service along the way.
Yeah. See, I always start with the rent thing first.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my mistake. I need to do. This is fun. Look at that dog mess. Oh wow, how much fun would it be to get that out of here? Anyway.
Want to see Dad smile?
Yeah, there you
a
go.
little bit.
Yeah. You want to ride to the Dairy Queen? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. We got to get that yard taken care
hey,
of.
Dad, my car doesn't start. Oh yeah, that's right. I own it, so it's not going anywhere.
I love that. How old are your kids?
So my 2 boys are 22 and 18. So shout out to you, Stephen and Landon. And then Jody's kids are 8, 10, 12, and 13.
You've passed the test. Good job.
We
Okay.
we have a lot.
That 6 kids. That's Christmas must be fun.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
We love it.
That's awesome.
Big
All-
family.
All right. It's 7:57. We have just a couple more messages to get to, and then we'll wrap it up here. And at 8 o'clock, we'll have the latest from ABC News for our world and national. Check and see what the next steps are for the conclave. Choosing the Pope. We'll talk about local news that's coming up from the WSJM newsroom. It's all right here on WSJM. Back in just a moment.
Families, if they've passed on, to visit the military vehicle in the showroom, courtesy of Lest We Forget. Add their name to the May We Thank You roll call and be presented with a 3x5 American flag in honor of their service. A small but well-meant thank you from your friends at Signature Dealer Group.
In thinking of veterans, did you know there are special rebates available especially for veterans? You can receive up to $500 on many of the new models offered here at Signature Dealer Group. We're proud to have several veterans on staff and are also proud to have many Signature customers who are also veterans. We would like to say, may we thank you to Veterans in May from Signature Dealer Group, Napier Union, Benton Harbor.
From the Pat Moody Studios, this is WSJM FM Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, a product of Midwest Family Marketing and Media. Proudly serving our community. The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
7:58. It's the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And thank you to Chris Hawk and Neil Harris from St. Joe Kickers Sport Club for coming in and sharing all that they shared today. And again, I'm going to make one more pitch. Let's have the goats back.
Yeah.
Let's get the pygmy goats.
We're working on it.
Or you can get the screaming, fainting goats.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Either or. Neil, you've got Mayfest coming up. Details on that, May 17th.
Yeah, May 17th, Mayfest. It's the traditional spring dance. We're resurrecting it, hoping to have the public there. I promise you, you don't have to know how to dance. You don't even have to know how to polka. We do have a couple of people who are very versed at dancing who will teach you how to polka if you want to.
I love it.
Bring the kids, right?
Okay.
Anybody can come out and enjoy it. And if you just like a good time, come on out, see what the club's about. Like I said, the Will Smaka band that's playing, they will play traditional music, but then they will play anything else. So they'll cover 70s, 80s, 90s, rock, disco, whatever genre you like, they'll take care of it. They will have a good time.
The St. Joe Kicker Sport Club is having their Mayfest dance. It's coming up on May 17th. For non-members, $5.
$5 at the door.
For members, free.
Free. And honestly, if a group of people shows up, we'll figure it out. And the other thing we can tell you, we didn't mention it earlier, is that our drink prices and food prices are exceptionally reasonable.
Okay.
And that is not to nick anyone else in town, but simply you come to one of our events, you're going to pay less for drinks. So
very nice.
Just come on out and enjoy. We're wanting the public to join us.
Okay. Got to wrap it up.
Yep.
It's 8:00. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Thanks, Neil.
ABC News. I'm Sherry Preston. The Catholic faithful still gathered at the Vatican.